When you first start learning about music, you become familiar with musical terms such as rhythm, melody, dynamics, and so on. And I'm sure you've had a go at composing using some of those terms before. As you begin to create bigger, more complicated pieces of music, one thing that can be challenging is how to organize and notate these elements in a way that makes musical sense when they're put together. So in this video, we're going to look at rhythm and meter. Firstly, to understand what those terms mean and how they can affect the feel of a piece of music, and then also how to notate them. In a nutshell, rhythm and meter is all about beats, timing, and patterns of sound. So let's talk about beats first. In music, the pulse is the steady beat felt throughout the music. Take a listen to this extract from a piece of music called Gumboots by David Bruce and see if you can clap along to the pulse. And music can have a fast pulse or a slow pulse and everything in between. The speed of the pulse, and therefore the music, is called the tempo. So when you're thinking about your compositions, it's important that you tell the musicians what the tempo is at the start of the piece, and if there are any changes of tempo during the piece too. For example, these words, allegro energico, are Italian terms that translated into English mean quick, energetically. Composers often use Italian terms for tempo and dynamic markings, but you can use English terms too. Notice that in both of those pieces of music you just saw, there's also a musical note, an equal sign, and then a number. This number is called the beats per minute, or BPM, and you'll find them if you're using a DAW as well. So if the BPM had a crotchet note equals 60, that would mean there'd be one crotchet beat on every second, because there are 60 seconds in a minute. Again, this is really important to help determine the overall mood of a piece of music, and it's really useful information for the musicians too. So do try and put these markings on your pieces. Otherwise, the musicians will be guessing the speed that you want the piece to be. Now, let's have a think about timing. Different notes have different lengths of time, and this is called the duration of the note. The meter of a piece of music is the word we use to describe how you group rhythm to a regular pattern of beats. It can be helpful to compare this with meter in poetry. In poetry, the rhythm of a line of text is determined by stressed and unstressed syllables. For example, it was many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. You could hear and feel the beat in that example because of the regular pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. I'm going to read it out again and see if you can work out how many beats there are per line. It was many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. There are 4 beats per line in that example. This is very similar to how beats and meter work in music, except we don't think of rhythms being made up of stressed and unstressed notes. Instead, we think of rhythm being made up using notes of different duration. The regular pattern of beats in music is shown by a time signature. You'll find this at the start of most pieces of music. The top number in the time signature tells us how many beats there are per bar of music. The bottom number tells us what kind of note or duration the beat will be. For example, in the image you just saw, the time signature was 4/4, and this means there are 4 crotchet beats per bar. In this example, there are 3 crotchet beats per bar. But in this piece, it uses a 7/8 time signature. Notice that the lower number has changed from what we've seen before. And this number 8 tells us that there's going to be 7 quaver beats per bar. Time signature and meter is important in music because it tells us where the strong beats are, and this can change the overall feel of a rhythm. To explain, let's take a look at this passage of music from Gumboots. This music is in a 3/4 time signature, which, as I've explained, means there are 3 crotchet beats per bar. The strong beat in a 3/4 time signature is the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's take a listen to the extract from Gumboots. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's now imagine that this section of music is actually in a 4/4 time signature. So 4 crotchet beats per bar instead of 3. The strong beat is still beat 1. But as you can see from looking at the music, beat 1 doesn't always fall on the same notes as it did when we were in the 3/4 time signature. Let's have a listen to how this sounds then. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear how the groove or feeling of the rhythm is totally different in those 2 examples? As an exercise, compose a rhythm or a melody that lasts for 16 or 20 beats. But don't include a time signature or any bar lines at first. Now, try applying 2 or 3 different time signatures to that same rhythm or melody that you composed. How does the change in meter and time signature in those different versions change the overall feel of your music? Remember that you don't have to always stick with the same time signature throughout your entire piece either. Composers often change time signature for lots of different reasons. For example, as I've mentioned, a certain rhythm or groove or riff might suit a particular time signature. Or it might be that the composer wants to provide some contrast in the music, and that's why they change time signature. Or sometimes they might change the meter to create tension. Also, in the examples you've heard so far, the rhythms I've used make it very easy to feel the pulse. However, sometimes composers try and blur the pulse by using syncopated or triplet rhythms, for example. Syncopation is when you have a rhythm that emphasizes the offbeats. This is an example of music that is not syncopated because the majority of notes all fall on the beat. But here is a similar but syncopated version of that same melody, with the rhythm this time emphasizing the offbeats. Triplets are another way of blurring the sense of pulse because you fit 3 notes where you would usually have 2. For example, to create crotchet triplets, first of all, if I have 2 crotchets, they will both fall on the beat. But if I add another crotchet and turn that rhythm into a triplet, it now looks and sounds like this. So, in conclusion, rhythm and meter are different but very closely related. Rhythm is a combination of sounds of different durations. Meter refers to how rhythms are organised within a regular pattern of beats. I hope you found this video helpful, and we're really looking forward to hearing what music you create. Good luck!